Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have David Schultz from Vendasta, growth strategist with them. How are you doing today, David?
I'm doing great today. Thank you so much.
It's great to have you on today. And I'm sure our listeners are tuning in, wondering what Vendasta is all about. So let's kick it off with that. In your own words, can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, for sure. So Vendasta is an all-in-one platform. We serve agencies and media companies that are themselves serving small local businesses. So we provide them with everything that they need to help run their business, marketing automation, full CRM, automations, everything to make their business run smoother, along with a marketplace of products that they're able to supply for their customers, all under a white label. So that way it isn't coming from Vendasta, it's coming from them as the local expert.
Definitely, that's great to hear. And so then, if we could sum it up, then what would you say is the key problem that you guys like to solve for clients?
So what we're helping to solve is actually kind of like, again, for that client of our customer, for that small local business. For a very long time, and it gets harder and harder and harder for small businesses to try and manage their day-to-day operations, while trying to keep up with how demanding it can be trying to run a business online and through brick and mortar, and however it is that they're trying to operate. And so we provide them with the kinds of tools to help them to automate their own workflows, make it a lot easier to engage with their customers, find new ones, capture new leads coming into their website, and things like that.
Okay, perfect. And so then, who would your vertical segment? Is there an ideal ICP for you guys?
For sure, yeah. We work with a lot of different kinds of industries. So the biggest and broadest would be that sort of digital agency, or like a SaaS entrepreneur, someone who is going to that small business. Traditionally, they would have been maybe only focused on advertising, or just on helping with websites, or just with social media, and enabling them to provide a full suite of tools for those small businesses. But we also work with some bigger like media and broadcast companies, MSPs, like managed service providers, and things like that. People who want to kind of add like a different digital products inside of their existing stack. So though it's a lot of different kinds of companies, but those are probably the main ones, or some of the main
Okay.
ones.
And so then, how would somebody usually find out then about Vendasta? Is there a top client acquisition channel for you guys?
Yeah, when it comes to finding our customers, we we kind of break it into two different sorts of categories. We have a lot of outbound motions, especially when we're talking to a lot of these bigger like media companies and things like that. We have a lot of expertise within our team to kind of touch base with them and get those conversations started, and really figure out how we tailor the solution to their specific needs. And then, of course, we have a lot of inbound folks, and that's where a lot of that agency side of things comes from. People who are either finding us through organic search, or we do a lot of paid advertisement as well to try and reach out, connect with these different kinds of folks, and let them know that if they've been trying to grow their agency, or for some even just get their agency off the ground, that we have the tools to help them to do so.
Perfect. Awesome. Good. Great. Good to hear that. Next is so that way our listeners could go ahead and visit you guys. You could always visit them at vendasta.com. What role does the website then play for client acquisition, David?
It's sort of that first experience point, I think, for a lot of folks to really kind of understand what it is that we offer. We have a lot of different moving pieces, different ways that we can serve a lot of these different kinds of verticals. Whether someone is looking for that business in a box, or whether they are looking for just like that thin slice point solution to offer to their customers. We have a lot of different pieces that can all work together or work individually. And so the website, it ends up being that first educator. It becomes really, really important that we have all of the information that they need to understand the different ways that can be used, different offerings that we have. And it becomes that bridge to get them to try out the product for the very first time.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Great, great to hear that. And as far as some tools or tips or methods, as far as to recommend for website lead generation to our listeners, you got a few or one? Don't want to share too much.
So a lot of my expertise is and where my role is at Vendasta is as a growth strategist. And so what I'm looking at is a lot of the stuff inside of the platform itself. Like once we're sort of like inside of the app, using the software, what is it that's inside of there? And there's a few different things I think of when it comes to the back and forth between coming from the website and then going into the platform. And one of the things I think that's really important is sort of a consistency of language. And it's not just like the copy that you're using, but even just like the kind of visual language that you're using. So if you look at something on the website and it's talking about things in one way and it is showcasing things in one way, and that's different than what you experience inside of the platform, then that's where things can start to break down and you start to lose trust, right? So making sure that you have like a really consistent view from one to the other. And the other thing that I would say is that providing the right context and right understanding when they need it. So as an example, when someone is coming through on our website, we can kind of figure out like if they've decided, hey, they want to sign up for the platform, and they clicked that call to action to say, hey, I want to sign up after reading about your reputation management products, or I clicked on it after I learned that you have a CRM. We can start to pull that information in, and then that can help us to tailor what kind of messaging and help people to kind of get what they need. There's always like so many different moving pieces, and it doesn't always work exactly the way that we would want it to, but being able to start to get that information and then tailor how we do the messaging is, I think, one of those really important pieces.
Okay, awesome. Great to hear that. And well, let's switch gears a little bit, David, and let's talk about you being the growth strategist there for Vendasta. Yeah. What are some key tasks you like to focus on your day-to-day work?
Every day feels a little bit different. So what I like to think is that for the most part, I'm just trying to identify some different gaps that we have and then try to create the different solutions to fill them. But when it comes to more of the day-to-day, it's actually, in many ways and almost surprisingly, it's kind of similar to what you might think of with any other sort of marketing role. So I spend a lot of time thinking about and putting together different kinds of emails to help nurture new customers or new prospects, really helping to set up what does that experience look like with in context and in-app messaging. So there's a lot of those pieces that I'm working through every single day. Which when I stepped into this role, I definitely didn't think that was the direction it was going to be. Was like, oh, hey, cool, we're gonna set up another email campaign. It's like, oh, that's not what I expected. But it's all about creating that consistent messaging and providing it right when they need it.
Definitely. Okay, awesome. Great to hear that from you. And I mean, with all the overwhelming news out there and marketing news as far as some new strategies and what's going on, how do you stay up to date with all that information?
There's a few different ones that I like. So there's a site called growth.design, and they have a lot of really cool case studies. They're almost just fun to kind of go through. They're presented in a very interesting way, and it really gets you thinking about some of that underlying psychology that's going on when someone is thinking about and navigating through, whether it be a website or an app or any kind of experience with someone's product. And then there's another one that I'm subscribed to Boag Works. It's a weekly. They have a weekly newsletter, and I think that he has some really cool insights on just like how to run a website agency and the best practices when it comes to building a website for customers and things like that. And so I really like that one there as well.
Perfect. All right. Next, let's jump into our next section here, David, which is our rapid fire question round. Are you ready for them?
I am always ready for all things ever.
All right, perfect, awesome. So then first off, David, what is the last book that you read?
The Banished World by Jesse Pine.
Perfect, awesome, great read there for our listeners. Yep. Next up is, what is one single thing that Vendasta is focused on at the moment the most?
There is never one single thing. It is always multifaceted because there's so many different moving pieces when it comes to an all-in-one platform. But I think the biggest one right now is something that we call Business App Pro. It's everything that that local business needs to run their day-to-day operations. It does like the lead capture. It does the web hosting, it does the reputation and review requesting, and it all works with an automated system to help make that work a whole lot easier for someone so that they can focus a lot more on working with their customer.
Perfect. Next up is, if there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
Give me data and automate it. That would probably be the biggest one. It's sometimes like I talked about, like, hey, let's get the information about like what did they click on, how did we get it, and we can start to filter that in and use that information. But I want more of it, and I want it faster, and I want it to trigger things for me. And sometimes I can't get that. So magic wand, that's what I want: more data and then automate it.
Okay, perfect. Next up is, if there's one repetitive task that you could automate, what would that be?
The same thing, getting data. It just having to like sort of sift through and parse a lot of different like reports and find it in a bunch of different places and pull a bunch of different queries can be a lot. And sometimes I can't even get it, so then I'm asking and hoping someone else can get it for me.
Perfect. David, I mean, I have to ask, right? If there's one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today.
It's one of those weird things where I started off by saying, I'm really, really into marketing, and this is a world that I want to get into. And yet at no point during it have I ever thought of myself as a marketer. And so I think that just that idea that, wherever you're at, keeping a lot of things in mind about, how customers are interacting with you, how you're touching base with them, how you're communicating with them. Even if it doesn't seem like marketing in the moment, it kind of is marketing a little bit. And even if you, even if, you don't think that, this is what you're doing, sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. It's kind of vague and confusing advice, but that's sort of what I would tell myself is, get ready for an adventure.
Perfect. Awesome. Great. And well, we are coming to the end of the show here, David. But before we do end, I do want to give you the last word. If someone forgets everything about the interview today, what is that one thing they should remember about Vendasta?
We've got everything. No, we've got the suite of tools that that SaaS entrepreneur, that digital agency, that business needs to help local businesses. And I think that's probably the biggest thing is just how Vendasta is all about kind of helping that small local business to grow and thrive. And so that's, I think, what the big takeaway should be there.
Definitely awesome. Hey, well, David, thank you so much for being on. And to our listeners, thank you so much for being on. And I'm looking forward to our next episode at Pathmonk Presents. Thanks a lot, David.
Awesome. Thank you.